Insurance companies caught trying to pull another fast one. You need to hear this because this is big stuff. And another question out here is, were the cargo ships that had issues, the one that hit the Baltimore Bridge and the one that almost hit the New York City Bridge, were they hijacked by terrorists, and are they covering it up? That is a question we're going to ask. It is an intriguing one. And cows. Cows with bird flu. We need to talk about the cows with bird flu because, friends, it is causing them to enact more anti-beef and anti-milk, raw milk protocols. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Your reports. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates. These are the reports that you guys are sharing from all over the United States as well as around the world. We're keeping up to date much better than what the internet and mainstream media is able to do because you guys are sending in such awesome reports about what you're seeing and hearing and what's going on in your workplaces. Thanks so much for that. If you have an update, please just put a comment on any one of the videos on this channel. Use the word update somewhere in there and give us some sort of geographical location if possible. It can be fuzzy if you need it to be. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group, that makes this all possible. If you have retirement accounts and you're in stocks and bonds and you want to get into something safer, like gold, silver, or platinum, or even if you just have questions about that, Jonathan and his team can really help you out, help educate you on what the process looks like, and see if it's a good fit for you. They really do have a heart to educate you and answer your questions. There'll be a link at the end of the video if you want to find out more. If you do want to reach out to them directly, make sure you do mention this channel so they do waive the setup fee. We negotiated that with them, and they've been fantastic for you guys for that. Lynn says, in Shreveport, Louisiana, Dollar Tree food aisle today had almost nothing on the shelves, and they were making no attempt to front anything. Now, some of you guys out there have asked questions because your Dollar Tree looks pretty good, but we've started to say that we may see that Dollar Tree declares bankruptcy at the upper levels, which may not make sense if you're like, I'm not seeing too much missing from the store. Some stores are still making money, that's for sure, but overall, they have a lot of underperforming stores and they have a lot of inventory that they can't move, apparently. And so this is a problem. They have inventory that they can't sell and they can't buy new inventory that they could sell. And this is causing real big problems for them financially, and they could declare bankruptcy. Now, if they declare bankruptcy, many of the stores will still stay open. They may sell the whole business to another business or something like that. But the investors in Dollar Tree may get hosed along the way. And you may see a lot of these stores shut down. Owen says, I had an appointment at Quest Diagnostics in Daytona Beach, Florida for blood work this morning. All computers and phone systems were down. They were sending all the customers away. Or, as we would like to say, patients. All the patients. It's a medical facility, and yet they cannot help people. People who need urgent blood work being sent away without being able to do anything. This is super serious. We're seeing these computer hacks cropping up all over the place. We're seeing system crashes, whatever. This is not how things used to be, remember? But this is where we are now. Team Benson says, I think you are right about Dollar Tree going out of business. I went to 3 different ones yesterday looking for garden items, and they had so many empty shelves. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona in the city, so I can only imagine what the rural areas look like. Now, some stores are underperforming, and it seems like they're moving more of the product over to those stores that are selling and moving stuff faster. If you're seeing a lot of empty shelves, your Dollar Tree may be closing next. They may be moving the product over to better stores, and that may be communicating to you exactly what's about to happen to the store. Empty shelves beget empty shelves. Why? Because if they have empty shelves, they're not selling as much stuff because they don't have stuff to sell, right? You walk in there, you want something, you can't get it, so you have to go to another store. And so we start seeing more and more these stores start becoming either significantly underperforming or they start overperforming a little bit just from who's getting more stock.
and who's getting that traffic of people. And so more and more stores are going to close. We saw this very same process with not Walmart, not yet Walmart, but we saw this with Kmart, right? If you've seen Ames and these other retailers, this is how the death spiral works. And we're seeing that across the board. So that inconsistency is definitely not good news out there. Dewey says, Roanoke, Virginia. This explains why my former insurance company, Safeco, wanted me to pay $4,000 for cosmetic damage to my car of $3,000. So you have a deductible of $4,000 for a car that's only worth $3,000. What good is insurance in the first place? And they were to get $1K if they fixed it themselves. Nothing wrong with the car. The repairman had the same issue with his pickup truck. He was telling them his insurance company wanted to total his truck for minor damage that was an easy fix. We're talking about how apparently what they're doing is they're totaling these cars and then they're selling them wholesale to foreign buyers for a big markup. So they're paying you this much to total the car, and then they're selling it for that much to someone else, right? When they total the car, they're essentially buying it from you, and then they can go sell it to somebody else. It's pretty shady. That's what it is. What good is having insurance if they're just if you have an accident and you actually lose money on the accident, right? Kenneth says, Michigan. Check your insurance policy for old charges. Upon reviewing our insurance policy, we found old charges for property we owned but sold 3 years ago. We had removed coverage when the property was sold. Now mysteriously has shown up again on our bill this year. It wasn't a huge charge, and it could have slipped by unless we went through every line of on the policy. Honest mistake, or was someone trying to pull a fast one? Friends, maybe it was just the computer system was backed up and done again, but maybe not. We see this with internet companies. We see this with phone companies right now, right? They'll just start walking the charges up higher and higher until you scream bloody murder, right? If you call them up on the phone and you're like, you know, I came in at this introductory rate, and then you brought it up past the introductory rate once that time period was over. Okay, that seems fair. But then why does it go up 12, 15, 30 cents every single month? Like, your bill shouldn't be going up by those increments every single month, but yet they'll walk them up. I've watched them. As a tax accountant, I've watched them do that to people. Watching their bill. Each bill is just like a little bit more, and they'll just keep walking it up until you call them out on it. So insurance companies are right now doing the exact same thing that cable companies have been doing for years. It's super shady business, and yet that's exactly where we are as a country. Nelson says, Savannah, Georgia. There was a documentary maybe 10 years ago called Al-Qaeda's Navy. Talked about how easy it is to track the cargo ships, right? It is super easy to track the cargo ships, which can be overtaken by a small boarding force and then used as a weapon for terrorism or something. Using simple software for managing logistics of global shipping. So you can just log on to some websites. You don't even have to log into those websites. You just have to type in those websites and then just move around the map and just zoom in on the ships. I was doing that very same thing in Taiwan, and we'll be talking about that because some pretty scary things happening in Taiwan right now. And I'm not talking about the earthquake either. I'm super concerned about what's going on over there, which is why I spent 7 days going around the island checking into things to see if it was as bad as I heard. But think about this, friends. What if those ships that had power outages really were actually attacked by boarding parties or were attacked in port just before they left? And if that was the case, or if it wasn't the case, it's still a huge vulnerability. We see now what happened to the Baltimore Bridge, right? The Baltimore Bridge, that came down and is blocking the whole harbor, and it's going to take months to clear out of the way. Are you thinking that this isn't giving our enemies some thoughts? because they could go on some back channel websites and pay some nefarious folks some money to equip them to go do something like this intentionally to one of our ports. They would like nothing more than to see our ports shut down and our economic system collapsing more and more. We have a lot of people that wish us ill out there. We've caused a lot of problems in the world, and now those chickens are coming home to roost. Cho says UPS distribution center in Roanoke, Virginia, laying off 153 employees. Shameful. 30-Day Ride says cattle have tested positive for the flu in 5 states so far. I know, you're like, bird flu in cattle? That doesn't make sense. And yet, in this day and age, in 2024, it somehow does make sense, doesn't it? You're like, yes, why wouldn't the cattle be getting bird flu, right? I mean, they used bird flu to wipe out our egg supply. They used the bird flu to attack our chicken supply. Why wouldn't they use bird flu to attack our beef supply, right? Why wouldn't they? They're trying to determine if they are being infected by migrating birds. Yeah, because that makes sense. You know, I'm sorry, I saw the cow out behind the barn making out with a crow, and that's how the cow got bird flu. No, that doesn't make sense, friends, right? Poop from flying over birds, like seriously? Or, if it's not migrating birds, they're checking into whether it's passing from cow to cow now, which is actually truly horrifying, actually, because cows are mammals, sort of like us, and that's a problem. That's a big problem if they're getting this, right? Since it is in the milk, they're banning the sale of raw milk nationwide. Now, if you look into it, remember that pasteurization doesn't kill all things in the milk either. So even though they're like, oh, well, it's safe to have the pasteurized stuff. Well, is it truly safe? It isn't. That's why they're dumping it out. For any use, and it can't be disposed of where any animals can come in contact with it. They're also considering implementing FMD, or foot and mouth disease protocols to try to stop the spread, which would have a big impact on the cattle industry in the United States, as well as the dairy industry in the United States. They're looking to put in lockdowns on the cattle. This is huge, friends. I've been amazed by the perfect timing of every crisis popping up in whatever they're targeting, just when they're getting some pushback. It keeps happening exactly when it benefits the globalist agenda the most. When your goal is total destruction, every crisis will benefit that goal. But what are the odds of every crisis conveniently happening with perfect timing? You and I are suspicious alike, and I know a lot of you guys watching are nodding your heads in approval, because you get that too. It seems awfully odd, doesn't it? And yet here we got the cows catching bird flu so that we can have no beef, just when they're saying they don't want us to eat beef. OU says, Steve, you were talking about the U.S. Postal Service. November 2022, I paid the USPS rent for my P.O. box, cost $62. Next year, 2023, I paid the USPS somewhere around $164. Twice as much, over twice as much, 62 to 164 for the same P.O. box. I heard from a postal worker that the same P.O. box will be $189 in 2024, almost 3 times as much as before. I wonder what's going on with the USPS. They are in the midst of a restructuring, so that is happening. This viewer lives in Oklahoma, by the way. They're trying to raise all the rates on everything so that they can break even. They're not breaking even yet. They took out another big bailout just a couple years ago, and they're kind of living off of that shot in the arm. But they're still losing money, and they're talking about cutting more and more services and charging more and more. But they can't compete against UPS. They can't compete against FedEx. It is a government agency that just isn't efficient. Americolic, it's like a alcoholic, I guess, Americolic. The rural water rate around Newton, Iowa went up by 800% effective this month. We're still having really big water issues in Iowa and surrounding states. There's just a drought over the whole area, and there's a lot less water in the water table, and that's been years developing. We're seeing wells run dry and serious water issues. So they're having water issues, and the price of water is going up for farmers and people paying for it out there. Please do keep your updates coming in. Thanks so much for joining us. If you want to get some more information about Genesis Gold or get some questions answered from them, there's a link right there to fill out your information and they'll get in contact with you. If you want to check out another video from the channel, there's one right up here. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report in India, out.